What is up, 12 Nation? Saahil Kapoor. I know, tough loss against the Chicago Bears. I don't know how it happened, I'm going to be honest, but got a lot to talk about today. Let's recap this game. Cue the intro. Okay, let's just dive deep into this. There's a lot of areas where I feel the Seattle Seahawks could have done better. I mean, it it's obviously not really usual for Russell Wilson to throw under 200 yards for two straight games, but it did happen, and that is unfortunate. I haven't seen that in a long time, but it did happen. And I feel like really the Seahawks are missing traits. I wouldn't say the roster is missing pieces, but obviously it is. But I think this team is lacking traits more than they are players. For example, in control the whole game. Unfortunately, Jason Myers does miss the kick, the 39-yard field goal to get that 10-point lead back. But that obviously, I mean, kicking in today's NFL is it's so like political. For example, Myers could have saved the Seahawks week 2 against the Titans, right? I mean, that game didn't have to go to overtime. He missed the extra point, right? But I mean, really, there is no excuse for not closing out a game. But all I am going to say is, yeah, this team is definitely lacking traits. I think Rashad Penny is better than Chris Carson at this point. After rushing for 135 yards, 17 carries. I mean, obviously he had two really long carries, but that dude is powerful. And that is the dude I want to see at the running back one next year. I don't want to be Chris Carson. I know you're paying Chris Carson 8 million, but it's fine. Rashad Penny is better and he's younger. Stick with Rashad Penny. He's a really good option. I think Russell Wilson, I mean, there's not much you can say, right? 181 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, it feels like there were so many opportunities that the Seahawks had to win this game, but it just went south. And it happens a lot, especially with the Seattle Seahawks. I think the Seattle Seahawks, the whole game, everyone thought Seahawks were going to win this. I mean, coming into the game, everyone thought the Seahawks were going to win this. This was going to be a Seahawks victory. And obviously, at the end of the game is where every team capitalizes against the Seahawks. It's when there's 5 minutes left, 10 to 5 minutes left, and the Seahawks have a lead and they can't close out the game. And it happens on defense and it happens on offense. For example, you'll be on offense and then they'll stop and the team will stop you. There'll be like 40 seconds left. It just happens so much that it's something that Seahawks fans are getting used to seeing. I mean, when was the last time the Seahawks had a blowout victory against a team that was over 500? Okay, the Colts, but that was week 1. I can't remember the last time that happened, right? Just it's disappointing. It's just this team needs to be able to win by double digit leads. And really, there's so many teams that don't struggle with this, but unfortunately, the Seahawks do. I think on both, I mean, on offense, Nick Foles did pass for more yards, but the Seahawks run game was way stronger than the Chicago's run game, and I also think that the Seahawks defense was better in 60 minutes. They were better than the Chicago Bears, but obviously, also penalties are a big factor in this. Penalties were a reason why the Seahawks lost this game for sure. So many holding calls. It was getting ridiculous. Just so many holding calls, so many unnecessary calls that you can avoid. A penalty pushed the Seahawks out of field goal range, and then Russell Wilson took the sack. All this nonsense can be avoided, obviously, but we're at the point where it feels like it's time to move on from Russell Wilson because it feels like he's kind of the root cause of all this. I mean, I don't know why he doesn't throw away the ball when he's getting hurried. And there's so many things just going on. I've addressed the offense a bit. Obviously, Gerald Everett played a great game, as we know, another great game from him. He's a key piece. He's a person that's actually, I believe, is a good player on this team right now. And he's probably the best receiver right now. I mean, Tyler Lockett, but I think he is the best receiving option for Russell Wilson currently. And that's the only really good thing going on right now for the Seahawks. I mean, defense is obviously good, but Gerald Everett on offense and Rashad Penny running the ball are the two things that are really only going right now. And that's unfortunate because the quarterback is 50% of your offense. And if you can't get a good quarterback, then you're going to be struggling. And happens so much. Broncos, Saints, so many teams that are just one quarterback away. But that one quarterback is 50% of your team. So it's going to happen. I personally believe the Seahawks need to make a bunch of changes this offseason, and we're going to be talking about them on this channel. So if you do like the Seahawks, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to follow our Twitter. Make sure to follow our Instagram. They're going to be in the description below. It's the Hawk Alert on Twitter and Instagram. So make sure to follow that because we're going to be talking about that for the rest of the year. I mean, obviously the year's ending, but 2022 until next season, we're going to be talking about trading Russell Wilson. So many things that we're going to be talking about on this channel. So make sure to subscribe. We're going to be doing Madden simulations. We're going to be doing trades, mock drafts. And yeah, let's get back to this. But it just feels like there's so many areas where the Seahawks need to build character, I'd say. Traits are what's keeping this team back. I feel like perseverance are so many things that this team is lacking. But let's move to the defensive side. I think the Seahawks are really lacking at slot corner and nickel corner. It's just an area where Darnell Mooney was easily able to take. I mean, he was burning Ugo Amadi so many times. I mean, it just 5 receptions, 55 yards. He was the leading wide receiver. He had the most yards by a wide receiver in the whole game. I mean, he had more yards than DK. He had more yards than Tyler Lockett. And obviously, David Montgomery, he played terrible. Like rushing the ball, he was terrible. But receiving the ball, that was insanely amazing. I mean, 7 receptions, 61 yards. Rarely happens like that, right? He's your leading receiver. He was the reason on that last drive they're checking it down to him. Foles was just easily to pass to him. There was no one covering that. I mean, where's Bobby Wagner? Where's Jordan Brooks on that, right? There's times where this zone defense is breaking down, and the Seahawks run a 4-3, obviously a zone, and there's so many times where this team just breaks down, and there's like nothing you can do, and it's the annoying thing. But I'm going to be talking about that too. Areas like new defensive schemes that the Seahawks would be interested in, maybe new offensive schemes, especially with a lot of talks. Pete Carroll possibly not becoming the head coach of the Seahawks anymore. I think that's going to wrap it up. I mean, obviously, there's so many areas we could keep talking, but obviously, just focus on these key points like making the kicks. Jason Meyer did say it was his fault on Twitter. I mean, it's fine. Season's over. Let's say the Seahawks were one game out of the 7. I mean, let's say like the Seahawks were one game out of the wild card. I would have been really frustrated, but it's fine. This disaster of a season is coming to an end. I know it's hard to watch. Let's just hope the Seahawks can end the season 7-10. Maybe end the season with 2 wins on a positive note going into next season. That's gonna be the episode for today. Make sure to subscribe and follow the Twitter, Instagram, so you know when the latest videos are coming out. Signing off, Saahil Kapoor.